Armand getting the only try of the game. Exeter will certainly be able to take an awful lot from their performance. They felt hollow after their display against Glasgow in their final pool game a year ago. Felt they never gave themselves a chance. They certainly didn't do that today, and they have forced Munster to work as hard as they've had to do for any victory on home soil in the European Champions Cup. Such disappointment, but they will now turn their attention to the Gallagher Premiership, where they are very much in the hunt for another tilt at the title in their domestic competition. Dan Goggin, one of several of those Munster substitutes that come in and made a huge impact with the likes of Alvie Matheson and Billy Holland in particular. Arnold both that come in at half-time. They'll know they've an awful lot of work to do, Alan, before the business end of this championship, but at least they are there.
Yeah, they're there, and there'll be a sense of relief, and it was just an incredibly hard effort today. Far from perfect. Their form recently is really, really good. And they would have known beforehand that this Exeter side are capable of doing this. They're just so powerful, so strong, but I think Munster will look back and they'll be disappointed with some facets of the game. But overall, character, we mentioned that word when teams dig in, and they showed incredible character today. Brilliant, brilliant work rate and honesty out of the team to get the job done, and deservedly so. They're in the knockout stages.
Well, it's just one defeat now in 19 home games since that man took charge in November of 2017. He's helped them into the quarter-finals of the Heineken Champions Cup, and who knows what lies in wait for them beyond that. A titanic tussle at Thomond Park has seen Munster just about edge it against the Exeter Chiefs. They've beaten them by 9 points to 7.
So, Matt Williams, relief, I think, is the overriding emotion, and the word Alan Quinlan used and the one you guys used here in the studio as well. You don't always have your best stuff, and when you don't, you just have to dig in, it seems.
Yeah, 10 out of 10 for effort, 10 out of 10 physicality, 3 out of 10 for accuracy on both sides. I think both sides will be sitting in that change room. Munster will go in and say, look, we got away with it, we're alive, let's put it behind us, rest of the competition. You're in a new competition now. And Exeter will be sitting there just going, how did we let that one go? It was incredibly physical game. Like, you could see the guys, they were just dead on their feet. They gave everything. But the errors were just amazing. Like, I can't remember seeing a Champions Cup game in the last few years with so many errors, and many of them were forced by the pressure, but so many drop balls, so many just little mistakes that swung it either way.
I'll just interrupt. We have to go to Tadhg.
It was such a tough game. Like, you know, it took a long time for a score to happen in the second half, and we had to dig deep, we had to defend a lot, and look, I didn't play for that last 10 minutes, but to see the passion and the effort the boys had to put in to keep Exeter out. There's such a danger in attack, and you know, to put them backwards and backwards and backwards until we got them into touch. Like, what an effort.
Absolutely. Was there a sense of panic at any stage, or did you always believe that victory would come?
No, look, I think we've a lot of belief in this club. There's a lot of belief in one another here. Obviously, when you're watching from the sideline, the butterflies are going. You're just hoping boys keep putting in those hits, and today they did, and fair play to them.
It's likely to be an away quarter-final, but you're in the quarter-finals. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, look, that's what we wanted. We want to get a quarter-final. Ideally, we wanted a home one. Like, if that doesn't happen, that doesn't happen. But look, we got to the quarter-final, and we'll focus on that a couple of weeks.
And as you said, due to come off, how's the leg?
Yeah, look, I'm in a bit of pain at the moment, but fingers crossed. I'll probably have to get it scanned, and we'll have to wait and see. But fingers crossed, not too bad.
Fingers crossed for that. Well, some brilliant turnovers at very important times, Tadhg. You are the Heineken Man of the Match, and Pat Maher is here to present you with your awards.
Thank you.
Well, he was quite brilliant, and not for the first time. We'll talk about him in just a moment. But your overall impressions, Shane, of the game?
Yeah, I think it's easy from a studio or easy from a chair watching it, isn't it? We don't fully appreciate how physical, how much pressure is on individuals there. But it's hard to analyse because not an awful lot happened. We were talking about Kirby before the game. I think it was 20-odd minutes before I actually go, geez, that's the first time I've heard his name in a while. I thought Munster, at times, their most kind of the biggest option they had was a box kick in attack. So it just shows how tight, how physical it was. Exeter came to play, and they deserve credit.
So on that point, you know, Munster maybe only had the box kick at times. Given what they did at Kingsholm last week, and I appreciate last week you made the point, Gloucester are not the greatest rugby side you've ever seen. So tonight, is it more about what Exeter did in defence to Munster, or actually were Munster disappointing?
I think Munster probably will be disappointed, because I don't think they probably influenced the game that they would have liked. I don't think they probably got into the position in the field to maybe get their maul or getting strike moves. But full credit to them as well. They played the circumstances.
Sure.
What happened in front of them, they probably had to change their strategy. And at half-time, they said, OK, we need to address a few things. And it didn't probably go the way they wanted it. But yet, they still found a way. Their defence in the second half, I thought, was pretty exceptional.
Yeah.
They were up against a good, hardened team, and I thought the bench that came on really made an impact. And there was a crucial moment where Billy Holland came on, they double-potted, and it just showed that Exeter were enabled. I don't think if Exeter were there for another 80 minutes, they'd score a try, because Munster's defence were good, and they weren't as accurate as they should have been.
I suppose what I'm asking, Matt, you know, we're talking about Munster here as potential title winners, so it's in that context, it's not to be overly critical, but here they are at home, and Shane is making the point they never really looked like scoring a try, and ultimately they didn't score a try. You know, beyond the box kick, Shane's making the point that they didn't have many options, he felt. So therefore, is that a big worry for them, or was it just an unusual night?
And no, I thought it was, you know, Joey will learn from that night. He didn't boss that game.
Okay.
And neither 10 bossed the game. Where Munster were very fortunate that Exeter were equally guilty of not bossing the game. The 9s were the box kickers. The 10s might have been, you know, who was 10? You know, was it Elvis and Lord Lucan? There's no, you know, they weren't there. That ball, and you saw it later on in the game, when the ball was put down deep in the opposition 22 by both sides, once by White and then again Joey did it, it put the teams under great pressure. But they just didn't do it enough. And they didn't get involved and say, give me the ball, we're going to do this. They were stuck in a pre-game plan. Now, I will give Exeter some credit. Exeter were coming up hard on the outside, forcing Munster back in, and Munster couldn't get that game going off Joey. The one we showed before the game started, where the wide runners were wide running straight, they just that was shut down to them. So what's plan B? And what Jeno said, Munster just fought their way through it, but I felt they could have done a little bit more. They got through it, and it's a new competition. As I said, this is a team that's learning and growing, and so they'll learn a lot from that and keep moving forward. But it wasn't a classic game, but it was physical and tough, and we've got to give them a lot of respect for that.
OK, one big bright spark for Munster this evening was Tadhg Byrne, man of the match. All game he featured, all game you were picking out bits and pieces he was doing. So we've got a highlights reel here of Tadhg Byrne's best work.
Yeah, you can see here the hooker for Exeter. If you're going into contact, you need to target him, and you need to take him out before the ruck actually happens. But yet he's slow in, Byrne lets it, pulls him down, and gets on. So I think I just think it's poor preparation by Exeter, knowing that he's the best in the park at doing it. And yet, now this is a good carry from him, but it's poor preparation in terms of they know that he's the best in the park at doing it, and yet they were poor at running at him or getting at him. Poor contact there again. Now that's CJ's turnover, and Tadhg's getting credit for it. But again, when you tip it out and you put it out into the outer, there wasn't anybody from the left and right hand side of the ball carrier that were going into the ruck with him. So going in like on a Monday or a Tuesday here, this is again, Witten's just on, fresh pair. Every ruck they should be going, I've got Hedger, I've got Hedger. And yet they let him get in there. So just as he's going down to get into that position, they need to drift him, because he gets on and he holds on to the player. You could argue, is it legal or not? But he gets into a position, he doesn't necessarily go for the ball a lot of the time. He goes over, he looks like he's getting for the ball. So when you actually make the contact in the ruck, he's holding on to that guy in the ground, so he's very hard to shift. So the easy way to do that is get him before he gets into that position. But hold on, and again, from a studio, easy to say, fair play to him. He's putting his body on the line, he's getting in there, and he made such an influence on the game.
And your point with the initial clip we saw is that if you're in possession of the ball, maybe run at Tadhg Byrne, make him tackle.
Run at Tadhg Byrne all day, because he's too good when he gets the opportunity to go over the ball. So if you run at him and someone gets a latch on him, he doesn't have the capability to get over the ball. They're relying on someone else in the pack. And to be fair, the Munster back row wasn't as good as they have been in previous weeks or games. They probably got a bit outplayed. Now, down to Peter O'Mahony was struggling with injury, Tommy O'Donnell went off, CJ didn't have his best game, but yet they still found a way. But for Tadhg Byrne to do that, it's like an extra back rower doing it for them, so they got through it.
OK, so Munster get it done in the end, courtesy of the boot of Joey Carberry. The knockout stages await. More analysis from the lads in just a moment. Now welcome back back. So we've just seen Munster beat Exeter 9 points to 7 at Thomond Park, and this is your top 8 in the Heineken Champions Cup as things stand. And Munster fans, before you get too excited, at the moment you do have a home quarter-final. However, for it to stay that way, you need Leinster to lose tomorrow against Wasps, and you must avoid Toulouse getting a bonus point at home to Bath. The odds are, Matt, that Leinster will beat Wasps, or certainly that Toulouse at home to Bath will muster up a bonus point. But as things stand, Munster are clinging on by their fingernails.
Yeah, form would suggest that Leinster and Toulouse will get some points out of their games. But, you know, rugby's rugby. Stranger things have happened. And Munster standing and going toe-to-toe like they did today, as inaccurate as it was, they got a win and they're there. And so it's up to everyone else now to catch it.
They did. One man who played through the pain barrier is the Munster captain. He's standing by with Sinead.
Well, Peter, what's your assessment of that performance?
Incredibly difficult game as we expected. You know, incredible respect for Exeter. I think they're an outstanding side, and you saw that tonight. We behind for the majority of the game, and they put us under incredible pressure. We couldn't hold on to the ball. But I was very proud of our defence. You know, they held on to the ball for long periods, and I thought it was one of the best performances of the year in regard to our defence. And then, you know, to be fair to Joey, he's kicking incredibly well, and you know, some battle to knock over that last one there. It was far from an easy kick, and just proud of the boys tonight.
Yeah, they put you under huge pressure. What do you feel the difference was in the end, Peter?
I don't know, to be honest with you. I don't know what the difference was because it was so tight. You know, Jack Noel, he just put us under so much pressure every time he got the ball. Meters made, you know, across the park, they put us under pressure, and you know, somehow we managed to stick it out.
Into the quarterfinals now, though. It's likely to be an away quarterfinal, though. But Peter, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, look, it's incredibly important to us. It's a massive competition for us, and you know, we're glad we have another one, to be honest.
And just finally, the ribs, you came through okay that game?
Yeah, I'm all right. I'll be all right.
Thanks, Peter.
Would he say anything else, I wonder? Yeah, so, in fairness to O'Mahony, he's accentuating the point that you made, I think, Shane, which is we're sitting here in the cheap seats, and that was a tough game out there. Exeter are top of the Premiership, an outstanding side, he said, and he said the team showed their best defence, maybe, of the year, and Joey Carberry stepped up and kicked a pressure kick. So, OK, we'll talk tries in a moment, not scored by Munster, but a lot of positives as well in a sort of grim way.
100%, 100%. And I don't want to overhype it, but it's amazing what they've done. They're in a quarter-final. So, like, we're being hypercritical here because I believe, and I think we all believe, that they are better than what they showed tonight. But circumstances dictated tonight that they're in what Peter said there. I think he surmised it pretty well. Very tough, physical. They weren't in the kind of optimum of their health. Conor Murray looks like he's struggling. Peter Mahoney's obviously struggling. So very brave to do what they do. But when you're going into games struggling, you're just off that couple of percent. And you saw Exeter were up for it. So, yeah, he found it difficult to say when he was asked what was the difference. I don't know. But I think what he said was the defence won in the end. And then Joey Carberry, when it came to them do it, he did it, he nailed a kick, so really well done to them, fair play. It's nice going into a game when you go, God, we can improve in so much, but yet they're there, rather than going in and going, we're out now, you know what I mean?
There was a time in our show we were beating the top, you know, the top side in the Premiership would be celebrated a bit more, I suppose. We're a bit spoilt.
Well, it's showing the standards that Irish rugby's got. You know, number 2 in the world internationally. European champions are in Ireland, and it looks like we're an inch off getting 3 provinces into the quarters, and Connacht had a great win over in France. So like the whole thing, you know, let's change that. That's the past. Let's expect to win. Let's demand high standards, because that'll keep us going, and that's fantastic. It's like 2 big heavyweights just standing going toe to toe, but there wasn't a lot of clever boxing.
OK, well, on that point, it might be interesting to get the thoughts of the Munster head coach. He's standing by.
Johan, what an incredibly tight game. Is relief the overwhelming emotion after that?
Yeah, that was the toughest game that we've been involved with in a very long time. 2 teams that did not want to give up. Incredible game of rugby in terms of the will to win. Definitely not the best game of rugby, but I'm very glad to be through this one.
I suppose there were a number of errors, mistakes. Were the team a bit nervous out there tonight, do you think?
I could put it down to a bit of nerves, but also the pressure that the opposition put on us. It's a quality team. I said it for the last 3 months. These guys are an exceptional rugby team, and they do put you under pressure, and I thought we handled it well there right at the end.
Yeah, and Munster really hung in there. What in particular pleased you about that performance?
The fact that we won the game.
And of course, you're into the quarter-finals now. It's likely to be an away one, but will you go into that with confidence, Johan, that there's more to come from Munster?
Yeah, most definitely, Sinead. It's such a long time from now. There's all Six Nations to take place, so we'll take stock tonight. And we don't see the Irish lads that go away now till the end of March again. So we'll regroup, and it's fantastic when the dust settles to know that you're in a quarter-final, and that's the first thing you've got to do. You've got to get out of your pool, and we're very happy that we're out of our pool.
Just on, I suppose, with the Six Nations coming up, any injuries, Tyke Byrne?
Yeah, it looks like a knee. He took an awkward knock there. Obviously, Peter O'Mahony fought through 80 minutes. Andrew Conway there right at the end looks like a bit of a groin, but we'll assess as we go through the night and tomorrow. And
I suppose you'll be hoping now you'll get everybody back healthy and fit now for the quarterfinals.
Yeah, look, it's such a long way to go. We're back into Pro 14 now, and it's relentless. Back on the horse on Monday.
Thanks, Johan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, he looks like a relieved man. The cheeks are puffed out. Thank God that's done.
It's a great answer, wasn't it? What's the best thing about that game? We won it.
Yeah.
That's a coach's answer. You're like, that's job done. Let's get to the next one. And he's right. It just qualifies you for a new competition. And they are in a new competition. So what's gone in the past is irrelevant. The quarterfinals is now knockout.
Well, it's interesting you mentioned nerves potentially, along with the pressure they were put under as being the two key reasons for the errors. Let's have a look at some of the errors. Give us your sense of these. Are these completely unforced? Is it the pressure? What's your reading them?
I think it's the pace of that line coming up. Connor just throws a ball that he wouldn't normally throw, but I thought they figured out their defence very, very well. You can see the Chiefs are up on the outside of Munster all the time, and they just made a lot of little knock-ons, little drop balls, Geno, that you wouldn't really expect.
Yeah, like it's funny, that one there by Andrew Conway, that just comes down to a basic thing. If the guy on the ground fought a bit harder and put the ball out, now whether it was the right decision for him to take it, but if he fought a bit harder and put the ball out longer, there wouldn't have been 3 or 4 sets of boots in the way for those kind of things. So I think it's improvements. Yes, there was a lot of errors, and those players would be as frustrated as anybody when they look at on a Monday. They'd be going, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But that's what pressure does on occasions. But I think that's where you need a good side, a good mature halfback saying, like Conor Murray, that's why I'm questioning, was he fully fit? Because usually there would have been a lot more control around their game. And I think when you look at a game, if they'd have gone into territory, then put the pressure on them, then make Exeter really defend in their 22. They weren't in their 22 an awful lot of the time.
Yeah. And actually, on 2 occasions, so they were in the first half, Munster spent 1% of the time in the Exeter 22, which is a faintly ridiculous statistic at Thomond Park. In the second half, really there was maybe a 4 or 5 minute period where they were in the 22, and maybe Conor Murray and Conway made some strange decisions, you felt. Yeah.
Conor ran into touch on one occasion, and then they thought, well, that's crazy. They just turned the ball over. And then Andy Conway, they get down there and they just kick the ball away. A chip kick in the 22, and it was only on tackle 1. And this is the thing: you need to spend time in that 22, be patient, and allow the options to come for you. Whereas what they did when they got there, they rushed it, they forced the pass, they did kicks. And that's just giving possession away, and that in turn you give possession back to your opposition. And in some ways, we can say the same about Exeter. They were very inaccurate when they got in the 22 in that second half.
It's probably worth a mention, Billy Holland came on and made a difference, didn't he?
Yeah, as did the whole Munster bench. I thought Botha came on and was energetic, was physical, and I think it was a critical moment in the game, because Billy Holland comes on, you're under the cosh, and they double pod. So when I say double pod, they put Peter O'Mahony up the front and they put Billy Holland. So it's very brave to do that, first of all, because if you lose the ball when you put 2 guys in the air, there's not that many people to stop them all. So they put their neck on the line, they got the ball, and it was a big moment. You could see the lift it gives the team. So you see here, Peter O'Mahony goes up the front, just misses, and then Billy Holland goes up. So what an impact, and just good courage at that stage. So come on, let's go and do it.
66-minute mark, Shane. I think that turned the game. Exeter were really getting a little bit of dominance then, had position. and that turned the game, and from there they come up the field, and of course they got the opportunity.
That was just after Munster had those 2 moments in the 22
Exactly.
as well. There was a real sense of, we're under the cosh here.
Yeah, they got a turnover penalty. Now, I've got to say, if I was the Exeter coach, I'd be really livid that they had 2 opportunities to kick penalty goals. One just before half-time at the 42-minute mark, and then for that one there when they went for touch, that was kickable. Now, they get those 6 points, and they're a point up. They're in the quarterfinals.
Yeah.
And it just does my head in why modern-day rugby players don't take points that are on offer. You know, and this is what I mean about Exeter. If you're Exeter sitting there, you'd be going, mate, we blew a lot of opportunities in that game. And those 6 points that they didn't even look at, that was crazy.
Yeah, OK. Regardless, Munster are through to the quarterfinals. More analysis from Matt and Shane in just a moment. Low-key way to kick things off from an Irish point of view. Ease ourselves in.
Nice quiet day at the office.
Munster beating Exeter 9 points to 7. We've talked about Joey Carberry, and maybe he'll learn from the occasion and how you handle a game like that. Ultimately, he went 20 for 20 with his kicks, and his boot won the game for the Matt, and he would have felt the pressure with this final kick.
That's what I like about Joey. You know, he didn't have his best game. Straight away, he looked at Peter O'Mahony and said, I want the points. O'Mahony backed his kicker, and Geno's nothing better than when you've got a boy that's converting 20 out of 20.
That's incredible, isn't it? You have such confidence when you get into that position to field to say, yeah, let's keep it ticking. So, and I think we're again hypercritical of Joey Carberry here, but you would have hoped that the likes of Scannell or the outside backs or whoever it was around him would probably communicate a bit more to him and adapting to that defence. Exeter were getting up in their face, trying to close them off, whereas you would have hoped, OK, hold on a sec, we got to think of something and help him and talk to him, or the forwards who are out there. It's, again, they could have been doing that, but it just didn't seem like that. And I think they didn't adapt to the circumstances they were in. But then they're going to learn from that, and they'll be better the next time for it.
And it's something he's going to encounter more often, isn't it? Because this rush defence, you know, a full line shooting up is increasingly what we're seeing across the board in rugby.
Absolutely, and that's what Joe's got to do. That defence took away his time and space. Now, he's got to find a way around that. They've got to have a plan B. The short kicking game has to come in. And we didn't see a lot of that. And then that's why they were playing between the 2 10-metre lines, where if Joey brings in that short kicking game or even a longer kicking game, a la Ronagara, into the corners, that's what he's got to do when they're not allowing you to play the wide game that they did against, which Gloucester did allow them. So you've got to give Exeter some credit here. Exeter have gone away, they're smart guys, they've done some homework, and they've come up with some defensive tactics that really did shut Munster down. Yeah.
Now, thus far, it's turning into a very nice weekend for the Irish provinces. We've seen Munster win, Connacht won in Bordeaux, and at Welford Road this afternoon, Ulster went there and were behind for a good section of this game, but came back to win by 14 points to 13 and book their place in the knockout stages. This in a group with Racing and Leicester and Scarlets, and they are through.
Yeah, you said at the top of the show, didn't you? The teams that they've come up against, where they've gone, that's just an incredible few weeks and performances from Ulster. And they deserve so much credit for getting into the next stage, because beating Racing at home or compete with those likes of those teams, they've just done so well, and people have been writing them off. So it's a nice place to be when people are writing you off, and you kind of round the horses and you work together and you come out with results like that. So what a brilliant weekend. Last weekend, that's going well so far. This weekend for Irish teams.
Robert Balakoon, who's played sevens rugby for Ireland, scored the try. 21 years old, lots of pace. Jacob Stockdale, who by the way is 6 tries for 6 in European competition, said this guy's way faster than me. And Rory Best has made the point that pack he feels has improved massively in the last year. So that's suddenly a reasonable combination around the field.
And I say this with great respect. They're a bunch of no names in some way. They're not, you know, Henderson and Best apart, and these guys have come out and played. You know, they've outplayed some of the best packs in Europe. Ulster deserve massive credit. We just spoke about that. What Balakoon scored from was a short kick over the top. Leicester committed a whole team to that front line. There was no one behind. So where's the space? The space is behind. And that's what Joey needs to take. Ulster did it, Balakoon did through, took a great ball, scored under the sticks, and they're in a quarter-final. Good on them.
I guess the thing is, Carberry did that last week for Conway, so he has it in the locker.
Yeah, he can do it.
Yeah.
And this is what I kept saying about Joey's a young 10 that's learning. Let's give the kid space. Let's not criticise him. Let's just say, look, let's learn from this, grow and move forward. He's not the finished article. He's a really talented young man and doing a great job. He'll get better as he goes along.
Yeah, okay. Leinster tomorrow away to Wasps. People would have seen Leinster destroy Wasps, really. It was like a signature performance at the start of this competition at the RDS. Are Wasps going to muster up some kind of performance for pride's sake tomorrow?
Genuinely, you cannot take any game for granted. The last time Leinster went over to Coventry, they got opened up.
It was a different Leinster.
It was a different Leinster and it was a different Wasp, but it's still the same thing. If you don't respect a team and you take anything for granted, you'll get what you deserve. And I think Leinster are professional, they understand that. I think on form, they're the favourite, but it's not to say anything. And I know every Munster fan is hoping for Toulouse and Leinster to do them a favour. Toulouse at home, you don't think it's going to happen, but yeah, you can't take anything for granted. But I think on form, those two teams will win. Yeah,
exactly the same. There's history. If you just ask Toulon. Toulon play Newcastle at home. They didn't respect them. They thought Newcastle bottom of the premiership. They get done. In this last game, if you take your eyes off the ball, the competition is littered with games where teams who are out of it beat a quarter-finalist. And Leinster, I know Leinster won't be taking this easy because that Wasps game, I know, sits very hard with Leo and Leo Cullen, the coach, and I think Leinster will go there tough. To lose at home, I think, is the one that we've got to say there. At Stade Waldron, they'll be way too good, and they could get a bonus point there.
OK. So, we're done. My thanks to Matt and to Shane. Munster into the quarter-finals after another memorable evening at Thomond Park. We'll be back very shortly in the meantime for the Six Nations. We'll see you then.